All right, all right, all right. How is everybody doing today? Thank you guys so much for joining me. It is Tuesday, January 15th, a little after 3 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. My name is Big Chonis. Thank you very much for joining me. You guys can find me on Twitter. I'm at Big Chonis. I'm a cryptocurrency trader, an investor, a mentor, a chart psychologist. I'm also a featured contributor to Bitcoin Live, and I love putting out videos and content for you guys on Twitter and YouTube. I'm also taking on new students for my mentoring. This is a one-on-one discussion. Well, you and I will be talking via Skype about an hour, and we can basically go over basic trading techniques, how to spot buy and sell signals, and of course, I can answer any questions you guys have. If you have any interest in this, please reach out to me on Twitter DM or email me bigchonis@gmail.com. All right, guys, let's get right into it. But before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to our friends in the chat room today. Who do we have here? Hunter AVI, Luca, oh, 1+1. Hello, Jeremy Stowe. What's up, Brett? Namaste, Namaste Inferno. John Hoffman, how are we doing? Bet Grim, Solid State, Crypto House, JF Airplane. Oh, Chart Vampire. What's going on, Vamp? Thanks for joining us today. Hello, Jeanette. Hello, Paul. Hello, Haseb. Hello, Peak. What's up, Peak? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I saw the Brexit folk, huh? Interesting stuff going on there across the pond. What's up, Dragon? Hello, Carlos. Hey, Jay Stroud, my buddy. Good to see you. JC Crypto and Hugo, How Rock, Christopher Norland. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. All right, let's get right into it. Remember, guys, Super Chat is activated. Tips are always appreciated. Okay, so let's start with our hourly chart here. We're checking in on Bitcoin's price action here. Now, I put a couple interesting tweets out. I was looking at was what the tightness of our 1 hour Bollinger Bands. They've been pretty accurate the past couple days here, showing us when we get really tight, we're basically expecting that bigger move to come. And when we find that resistance on our middle Bollinger, followed by support on our middle Bollinger, followed by resistance on our middle Bollinger, once again, we tend to break bearish and using our middle BB as resistance. And sure enough, that was the case a couple hours ago. Let me pull up my Bollingers here, where we had a tightening Bollingers on the 1 hour, are ranging bearish here. We broke through it, and again, we don't like to get outside our Bollingers more than a couple candles here. We actually closed out of our lower one here. We're still very tight here, and we're basically ranging using our lower BB currently as some kind of a support here. Now, this volume here remains very suspect, and a lot of it just has to do with the fact that if we're really going to break out and break through and begin to range in a kind of a higher area here, we have to get through these major areas. Oh, nice. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Vamp. Have these higher areas of resistance that we have to break through. So we see the very strong resistance we have so far when our price action was trying to get above this, $3,700 area. Now, back on January 11th, we got wicked out pretty convincingly right there as well. So for now, if the price action can't get above that 3,700 area there, what are we really talking about here? Bears still have major control. However, where we found support and why is this area of the 3480 area so very important that we at least found initial support on it currently and are holding on it right now. For that, I want to go out just a little higher time frame here, and I want to talk about these key areas here. Now I'm going to get rid of that guy here and that guy here. Okay, so why have we stopped where we stopped? Well, I want us to focus on this wick we had here back on November 25th here. Now, this area, okay, was supposed to be our first, shoulder, if you will, of this inverse hold and shoulders we're all been talking about on Twitter and what for the better part of the month from now. And we've been very suspect on the formation of this shoulder here. Nothing like what happened with Litecoin. We're getting long in the tooth, if you will, kind of a funky shoulder. We have a declining neckline here, and normally in an inverse head and shoulder, we're supposed to see the volume actually increase on our second shoulder, showing that resistance of the neckline is about to get broken. And we're just not seeing that at this point here. However, being able to find support right now in this just below 3,500 area is still notable. And the reason for that is because everything below this area here basically puts us back into our big bullish candle that got us out of these low 3150 areas here. I consider this big candle here kind of a window pass through. What I mean by that is because we've held support here, which not only corresponds to our shoulder wick over here, but also corresponds to our areas of resistance, turn support right here, is very important to now that we're back testing it. Good to see that we're finding it once again as strong support. And the reason that's important is because the bull narrative, if there is going to be one with this higher low setup, I just feel that this is like the area that just can't break. You know, if we start trending below 3450, somewhere in the 33s again, by that point, we're what, 150 bucks, $200 away from our lows of 2018 are 3150 area here. And then in the market you have to ask yourself, well, wait a minute here, if no one's really convinced they want to hold Bitcoin or buy Bitcoin, over 4,000, and now no one's really able to get it over 37, 36, 35, then as we're so close against to the second bottoming, which I still feel is going to happen, this either call it a retest, call it a potential for a W bottom, whatever you want. I just don't feel that there's enough conviction right now to hold these key levels. And any move going up, I think, is going to continue to delay the inevitable, which is that, another 3K test there. So let's focus on a couple indicators kind of and see where we are on the overall chart param. Now, I want to start on my 12-hour chart. I always say I like to get basically an understanding of which chart is telling the story. We got to get a sense of which time frame seems to be the most accurate, giving us the most meaningful data that we're watching. And sometimes, the 4 hours, sometimes 6 hours, sometimes it's the daily. But right now, I've been focusing on the 12-hour for a couple of reasons. Starting with the biggest one here is that we did put in a perfected TD9 on our 12-hour chart here, and it was the only time frame on Bitcoin. It wasn't in the daily, the 6, the 4, that we got close to that perfected TD count here. And the fact that we hit it cleanly and had a very nice reversal from it is quite notable. So I'm kind of keep an eye on my 12-hour chart that's telling me better sense of kind of what's happening in the Bitcoin price action. Again, we're still focused on these key areas of near-term support and resistance. Okay, we cannot get above our 3710 area. Okay, wicked out, wicked out, wicked out. Now, let's just say hypothetically that the bulls are able to push through this 37 area. After that, when we factor in our bearish candle here and we factor in our bearish candle here, just as I say before, as we went so quickly bullish here when we had our 3150 breakthrough, the price action can easily as fall through that once again. Just as we had our bear break here, if we have bull volume with conviction, we can actually push through this area, because once we get really above this $3,800 area, it should be a clear air right to 4K. So a bullish scenario would be building on a perfected 9 bearish. Okay, now we're on a green 3. Now what do we have in terms of running room here on our current count? Let me get rid of this guy for a second. So we'll count 4 backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to have a green 3 because we're going to be closing above this candle today. It's going to be closed above 35.15. Tomorrow's candle, pretty much the same thing. But this one here, we got to close above 36.62 to keep that count going. So the 4 should be green, the 5 should be green, but the 6 candle really have to be somewhere above this 37.60 area to keep this chart going. And the continuation of this bullish TD cell count, we can actually call it. So we're going to see if that continues to fall through, because with this bullish candle here on the 12-hour, it's given us some running room to actually complete that TD count. Now, the other thing about the 12-hour chart, which is kind of interesting to me, is the cloud resistance we're seeing here. So where we still all right, so the daily chart's the one that we haven't been able to get in the cloud, and at least with my indicators. The 12-hour chart, we were able, after initial strong resistance here and here, get into the cloud. Now we've lost it. So a couple things are notable here. We're finding Kaijin resistance here, especially on this wick here to the T was very notable. We see our Tenkan Sen and our lower cloud current resistance, or span A, it's right around $3,800. Now that corresponds with that area of near-term heavy resistance, where if we could break through that, we could definitely get into the cloud with some more running room. Now, because this cloud, like, why is this cloud so huge here? Why is it so red? This is a reaction still to Bitcoin's massive bear break from the 6K areas. Now, as you can see, it's tightening up ever so slowly as the price action begins to range sideways. Okay, remember the cloud as a future projector. Okay, we're basically heading out 30 periods here, no matter what time frame we're on, trying to figure out where the future resistance can be, as well as determining areas of support, and then potential targets when we look for some sort of an edge-to-edge expanse. From getting into the cloud, we can go all the way through it there. So what I'm looking for now is the fact that cloud, which was support, is now major resistance, currently right around the $3,700 area, corresponding and equating with these wicks, as well as the lower cloud around 38. And as I said before, we get through those two, it's clear air, I believe, up to 4K to retest this area, and kind of the overall neckline of the overall inverse head and shoulders thing, which, still could play out. Daily Tenkan Sen was showing great support all the way through until we broke bearish. Now it's resistance. Once again, $3,800 area, a lot of area confluence right in that next area of resistance. Still looking for that. This is the daily was the only time frame that Bitcoin could not get into our cloud. We saw many alts, the ETH and Litecoin and some of the bigger runners over the past couple of weeks bullishly were able to capitalize. On Bitcoin's bullish relative sideways price action. So because of that, you've been able to see those alts, kind of take advantage of that. The difference now is you're seeing Bitcoin was never able to get into the cloud. So I look at it in two ways. If Bitcoin is able to get to the cloud, which means we're back to $4,400 again. And then we're talking about this real legitimate situation where the price action is trying to pound away against this 42 to $4,000 range, which was major resistance, couldn't even get up to it again, and showing the bears still have that continuation here. Now, also note with our daily cloud that as time goes on, we're actually finding our resistance levels dropping lower price average of resistance as our price ranges sideways and drops. So I'd love to continue to target this as a bullish target, especially if we can close a daily above our Tenkan Sen. We can see that ranging was very effective when we were able to hold it for several days and basically build on it. But until we're able to get above there, I can't really speculate on any of these areas here. And this is our first indicator to try and break through. And the fact that on the daily chart, we're basically finding that as continued resistance is notable because it's making this look more bearish as the future cast continues as we get into February. We're too early in the week here, but I think it is notable just to take a look at how last week's candle closed and kind of what we're going into this week with. The fact that last week's candle was extremely bearish, had a bearish engulfing. We lost so much of the momentum we had achieved the previous couple weeks there. Okay, so now we're basically seeing that consistency of those lower highs still take hold here. 44, 42, 41, and now we're at 37, but we're still very early in this week. We're not going to look too much into this candle yet or the volume yet. It's just notable that we're basically starting this week's price action after something that basically said, nope, there's no strong buying action currently above the $3,700 range. And what's even more disheartening is about these wicks here. Take a look at these wicks, and how they were tried to be held as support. We broke through them. Once again, they would be tried to be held as support. We broke through them, and now currently we're finding resistance on them. So not only have we failed to hold the support of these wicks, which showed there were buyers in these areas. This is a fight here where there was buying trying to slow the bleeding. They lost, okay? Then the bulls reasserted. Okay, then they held strong, and they lost once again. Now the door, the wall they were trying to defend, okay, is now acting as resistance once again. So if last week's candle of significance, which I feel it was, is anything, this week's candle to see how we continue to react to this 3650, $3,700 zone. Is this the new major resistance, that we're about to face? Is that a very good possibility that that's the new zone that we're about to kind of run into, because it was one strong support and now it's acting as that resistance area once again? Uh, Take a look here at our weekly Bollingers. I always like to keep a sense of where we are on these. And we talked about, I remember this a couple weeks ago, is how we were saying, oh my God, we're so far out of our lower Bollinger. We're closing out of our lower Bollinger for weeks and weeks and weeks in a row. It was unprecedented, right? Okay, it was unprecedented. And yet, that move has actually allowed our lower BB to actually decrease. Okay, so now our lower Bollinger Band is as low as $2,500 here in the price action of Bitcoin. You see how rapidly that fell. It took 4 weeks to almost drop of $900 there. And now we have our upper BB, okay, which widened because of our bear break, has now turned the corner and is angled lower there. And that's something of interest. All right, guys, quick reset here. Remember, guys, my name is Big Chonis. I am on Twitter and YouTube. And quick shout out to the chat room. Hey, Darcy. Hey, Al, Swain. Hey, Abdul. What's going on, guys? Hello, Michael. Hello, Solid State Gaming. B7 Oaks, what's up, my friends? 152. That's not bad. That's not bad for a weekday here on a Tuesday afternoon here. I don't know where you guys are. Hello, Claire. Thank you for joining us here. So we're watching our Bitcoin chart here. So let's get rid of our Bollingers just a moment here. And I want to bring up our monthly, because let's get really let's get deep into this here. Now, why am I bringing up the monthly? Because we're halfway through it. Okay, we're halfway through. Thanks, JC. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Hey, Sebastian, I will give you that, my friend. I will give you that. So we're looking at our monthly chart here. Now, look at this candle here. Okay, look at this volume here. Okay, so we're halfway through the month. We're clearly putting in a much lower volume profile than we have in these months here. Remember, this was a very bearish month. We put in a lower low intramonth. We closed with a lower low intramonth on the same volume. Okay, and now what we're seeing here is halfway through this month. Is there anything really yet in this candle that's telling us we've turned the corner, or there's even some sort of a buying conviction? Yet in this longer term, longer time frame chart here. Now, it's notable that with our Bollinger still incredibly wide on our monthly chart, our upper BB is still over 12 grand. Okay, this is going to slowly begin to decline, and then it's going to get really quick once we can get past these candles here. So we still have a lot of time here until our monthly begins to tighten on our Bollingers. But the reason I bring this up is because we saw how strong middle BB resistance was on our monthly chart. And that means I have to put my lower Bollinger Band in play, just as I would do it for any other time frame if our middle BB is acting as resistance. Now, currently, our lower BB is right at $983. But last month, it was at $800. And the month before that, it was at $300. So you get my point here. This is rising exponentially faster every month. And come February, it'll be over $1,000. And at some point, the price action and the lower Bollinger will meet, will kiss. And I wouldn't be surprised if we break it, at least on an intra-month time frame. And that would be an interesting target, because just what we've seen on the way up, we can go on the way down. Now, I'm not expecting anything close to these wicks here, okay, of price action on the way up here. We don't have much running room to go that bearish there. But a test of our lower BB in the coming months is a definite possibility. Let's take a look at our hourly here, because there we go. Once again, now we got about 25 minutes left in our hourly. Keep a sense of that when you're looking at these charts. Let's say you're looking at the hourly chart. but it just started the hourly candle. Okay, so you got to have a sense of how far we are into each candle when we're watching that situation unfold. So let me get rid of my Bollingers here. Okay, so let's just do some basic TA and see if we can get a sense of where we might find some midterm support. So the first thing I'm going to do is just do a fib from my most recent swing high to my most recent swing low, the area that we found support. And I'm going to get very accurate here, right here, 34.81. Found resistance, 37.11. Okay, so again, what do we like to target? We like to target something of a support between the 680 and 618 and our 65 area. Some might call this a golden pocket. Okay, we look for support in this area first. And what's cool about it is we were watching for that area hit on a couple coins with quite significance. Now we don't always get down here to find those areas support. Sometimes the 55 is a bounce, sometimes the 50 is a bounce, sometimes we're a very bullish 38 or even a 23. Okay, but if we're getting closer to these areas here, we look for at least some support around the 61, mostly because there's a good pool of liquidity in traders probably waiting, looking to capitalize on potential supports in that area. Now, let's talk about why this area also may have some significance. Take a look at our bottom wicks here that we had when we were breaking bearish. These lower wicks here were showing areas of support. Support, support, support until they were lost. Now that we're above them, they're going to be shown areas of resistance. So if we expand our area here, it's notable that our 61.8, okay, also tends to correspond with an area wick of resistance, support, and support. So there's something about 3560-ish area that has acted as support and resistance all along the way. And that's something like that was interesting. Constantable delayed. That's interesting. So we have some ETH delay news. So let's we're going to keep an eye on this here and see how the price action on this pullback is going to react. Now, I get asked this question a lot. It's like, which fib do I use? How do I know which time frame to put it on? And where do I start from? And if if I zoom out here, obviously there are other areas that are lows and highs as well. So yes, you can draw an infinite amount of Fibonacci retracements. You just have to use them in the different contexts that they are in. If I take a fib from the entire structure here, low to high, okay, we actually broke through our 61 support, which was at the 3553 before this bounce here. Yeah, right there. Okay. And noting other areas that go lower for potential initial supports until we can get potentially to the bottom there. So yes, there's an infinite amount of Fibonacci's that you could basically draw to figure out where the support and resistance zones are. Now, similarly, what we'll be doing, what I'll be doing is, let's say we are able to confirm certain areas of support. Maybe we don't get down to the 618, maybe we do. Again, we still have some time left. We have 3 hours left in this 4 hour candle, and we have 20 minutes left in this current hourly candle. But wherever we are able to find support, wherever we do it, okay, then we basically can figure out, okay, well then how do we get from that low to the previous swing high? How do we get from this area here basically back up to our 4,000 area? And we'll basically be planning an extension on that. But all that has to mean that we've broken through our zero line here and we put in a higher low than our $3,700 area. Otherwise, we are still in our retracement and we're still looking for something in this area which corresponds with interesting areas of support, term resistance, back to support. Let's see here. Let's look at, actually, and the 4 hour, I like also watching the Bollinger Bands. Now, well, what do we know about the 4 hour and the way the Bollinger Bands interact? We know that when it's outside, the lower Bollinger or the upper BB, no more than 3-4 minutes, no more than 3-4 candles, basically. Both bearish and bullish here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we get back in. Okay, so we're looking here at our 4-hour Bollingers, which are still pretty wide here. Okay, and again, finding that middle BB support, failing it, currently intra-candle. Note where our lower BB is just for that break of $3,500 there. So if we get down there, that's our next support, but I don't think it's going to be in this candle. I'd be very surprised if it was in this candle here. Let's go back to our hourly chart and see how close we are. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Okay, so we just busted through that. Let me see my Bollinger here. Okay, so right now we're breaking through what we were hoping to hold our support, which really tells us a couple things here, especially if we close below here. Then the area of 3560 is kind of weakening. Look at this. Look at this, how low we get, 35, 38. Remember, just because the 618 has been the kind of the prime number of support for a while, we have other targets here because they are also hit. 786, okay? And I have my 84 and the 93. It's more of a personal thing just because I continue to see those areas on extreme levels be hit as well. So, 20 minutes left in this candle here. We'll see where we end up the show in about 20 minutes, and we'll see actually how this support range, if it's going to hold. There's a lot of volume in this candle here. This is the hourly. We're we're definitely coming closer to a volume profile similar to our bear break, our bull break, and now right now, our bear break. So we're going to see how much of this is getting bought up as we broke through, for now, intra-candle, kind of our golden pockets zone. Let's look at Bitcoin longs and shorts while this price action is happening. So we have a bearish move here in Bitcoin, okay? Let's look at longs and shorts. And guys, keep an eye on Bitcoin for me if anything crazy happens while I'm off screen here. Okay, so, ooh, here we go. Okay, finally. So, I kind of had a feeling that longs are still looking to load in this area here. And longs are loading up. I'm on the hourly here, the past couple candles, and actually buying into this bearish move. Bitcoin shorts. And I put a tweet out about this earlier about how I really want the shorts to touch my line of volatility. This line, guess I got to go to my daily chart for that, has produced several very strong bullish moves in the Bitcoin shorts, which basically is saying was a bearish move in the price action of Bitcoin. So a touch of this line here, 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 and maybe here, okay, could suggest a very strong bullish move for shorts, which might have something to do with a very bearish move in the price action of Bitcoin. We're not seeing shorts rising yet. This is still kind of interesting to me. Bitcoin's looking kind of bearish right now, and yet shorts aren't loading into this. So what are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? Are they waiting for one more pump higher before they can load in? Are they expecting one more pump higher? Okay, because for now, longs have been seen to have most of the conviction here. Okay, so very interesting to see at least how we close up our daily here, because there's nothing in the shorts yet that says they're prepared to take out significant short positions in Bitcoin here. They're only shorting about 23,000 Bitcoins right now. Longs are long now, over 30,000 Bitcoin. Okay, so their leverage here on this daily candle is increasing even with this current bearish price action on Bitcoin. Longs still feel over leveraged. Longs still feel over leveraged. Let's go back to Bitcoin, take a look. Once again, guys, thank you so much. 173 of my closest friends joining me today. Much appreciated, guys. Remember, Super Chat is active. Tips are always appreciated. If you guys have any alt requests, let's put our fibs back here. And so right now, we are just trying to hold this key area here. Okay, now these are wick areas of support, wick areas of resistance. So we can do it on a wick breakthrough, but how we close this hourly candle in about 15 minutes here will be interesting to see if this area is strong. We're fighting it here, and we definitely have a high volume profile here. Now, this has probably pushed us pretty deep below our Bollinger on our hourly. Okay. Now, again, we're tight here, so we can be outside. If we were very wide and outside this much, I think that was way oversold because we're tight in our Bollingers. We have running room to be bearish in this area here. But our 4 hour is still very wide. So we're going to keep an eye on our 1 hour in terms of extreme oversold conditions. We notice that our 1 hour candle, it doesn't get that below outside the hourly intra candle. Okay. This is pretty extreme for what we normally see. And that's what I talk about where we're looking for um, areas of deviation, breaks out of the standard deviation when we're too far extreme in one direction or another. The Bollingers are an oscillator, but I also look at them almost as a highway with the guardrails, and the price action is the car, and the sides of the guardrails, and the middle is the median, and you know the the guardrails try and keep the price action inside. They try to keep the car within the lines. But every once in a while, the car just goes crazy and gets outside the lines. And the guardrail has to adjust to bring it back inside the lines. And these actions, these big moves, extremes, are where we as traders look for to capitalize on when the market is pushed too far one way or the other. Let's look at Ethereum and see what this move has done with Ethereum. Wow, inverse BART to a full BART, huh? So look at that. So does this have a lot to do with the cancellation or postponement, of the fork here? That's interesting. That shows there isn't a consensus on where um, this ETH upgrade what it was going to obtain, and that's very interesting here. That's kind of bearish for the market there because you want something like this to work out. If you have a plan and you're delaying it, then it shows that there's a little confusion. There's a little, things aren't moving as smooth as you kind of would like them to do, and that's suspect for any market. So that being said, we had this support at 113, resistance at 132, and then back to 117. Now, 4 hour Bollingers still have room to hold. Hourlies, again, this is similar to Bitcoin here. It's oversold, and if we close outside here, be interesting to see because that's a really bearish move here. Because on the hourlies, we see where we can spread these too. With tightness in our hourlies, we have room to expand. Um, but our 4 hour and our 6 hours are still quite wide. So I'm not seeing anything that's going to say a crazy move just yet. Still a lot of volume here. Now, it was notable about, this was a pitchfork I drew. I'll come back to that later. What's notable, I think, about ETH, and I think this is where I want to bring up the fibs once again, is where it actually found support. We were targeting somewhere around the 111 zone when we had that bounce. We got as low as 113, pretty close, right? Had our bounce, but what happened? Our bounce, just as areas of support are now resistance, the 382 was resistance here. And then look where today's candle was wicked out. So this told us very cleanly the market found a little support as we got approacher to the 618, but we could not get over the 382 on the way up, finding it as resistance. Okay, currently holding right at the 55. So we're still in this range here, but we're in this fib range overall. Keep an eye on this here because 130 is now the very strong resistance where it had acted its support on several occasions here on our daily chart. Okay, this fork thing is a big deal because news events are the driving action for what is moving a lot of these altcoins. Just as Tron had a news event, okay, and along the way we've seen the stories like this. So we have that situation happening again. Quick look here on Litecoin. Now talk about the 618, okay, as pretty accurate. I mean, does it get more accurate than that right there? I mean, literally almost to the penny here. 29.48, gorgeous bounce. Okay, Litecoin's weaker. Okay, ETH was able to get back up to the 382. Litecoin did not. So this tells us something. When we're trading these and trying to pick up which of these coins has the best, chance of a better percentage move. Okay, so we're seeing that ETH had more money flow in it and more momentum to get it to at least test the 38. Litecoin should have been able to test $34, and it couldn't. It couldn't. So it's weaker now. It's also below the 55, whereas Litecoin, whereas Ethereum was finding support. So it's interesting when we use these comparisons, you get a sense as to what coins currently are a little stronger and what coins are currently a little weaker than the other ones there. Let's go back to Bitcoin here, see what's going on, hourly chart. All right, so how low do we get here? We got right here 35.39. We got very close here to our 786, just about a $9 differential here. And that's, look where we bounce. We're a little bounce there, 39.73. Okay, very important to see where this close comes. I want to see where this close comes in about 10 minutes. Okay, so where's the support? Now, this support area right now is literally the last candle before we had our bull pop here. So we literally gave back this entire green candle. All that work we did came back here. Finding strong support there? Maybe. Look at this volume bar. Okay. How much of a wick are we coming able to put in here on this hourly chart? Okay. Remember, there were buyers down in this area here. It's probably scaling in from the 618 down to the 786. Okay, I mean, it's what, 60, $70 there? Okay, and now because of that support hold, there's our pop. But again, these are just volatile moves. The closing candles kind of tell a cleaner story here. Okay, I don't like how we broke through these so easily. And right now, we're just right in that area there. 8 minutes left to go. Bitcoin futures. This is something I want to talk about. So I see a lot of people talking about gaps, and guys, I'm a gap kind of guy. I like to keep an eye on where gaps are because I'm always saying certain gaps like to get filled. And that's important to keep an eye on in terms of where areas need to get filled. Maybe we can't go low yet or high yet until that area gets filled. So I want to start with the hourly chart because obviously there's a gap down here on the hourly as low as 31.50. Okay, so we can confirm that. We know it's there. We see it. Gonna keep that there. Gap. Okay. Hourly, these are all filled. These are all filled. These are all filled. Now, on the 4-hour chart, there is not a gap down here at 31.50. Okay, we have the candle here. We have the supplicant candle after it. Breach it. It only needed to touch it, but it breached it. So this gap here on the 4-hour is not a gap. It's filled on the 4-hour. And you get what I'm saying in just a moment here. So then we had a gap here. We filled it with not this candle. We didn't get high enough. Had to wait till this candle to fill that. Another gap here, filled with this. Another gap here, filled with this. Now, all these gaps are filled, right? Yes, they are. But there's still another gap open on the 4-hour chart, and I'm pretty sure it's the only one I can really find right now, and it's this guy right here. And I'll clear this out so you guys can see it. There's a gap here between, between the price action has to get up to 43.94, and this wick here only got up to 43.70. Okay, so that didn't fill it, and that's as high as we've been since then. So if we're going to acknowledge on the hourly chart that there's a gap all the way down here in 31.50, then we also have to acknowledge on the 4-hour chart that there's a gap up here at 43.94. And because it's an 4-hour chart on a higher time frame, I find it more notable than the hourly chart gap. So what does this mean? It means that, in my opinion, at some point, 4394 will be filled. At some point. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't go down here first and fill 3150 before we go up, or maybe we go up first to fill this one before we go down. But at some point, and I feel it's gonna be, if it's gonna be filled, it's gonna happen within this time of Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be filled months, years down, down the road here. So this gives me some optimism, some sense that we'll be able to get back, at least retest the $4,300 area, $4,400 area at some point before potentially still in our bearish range, or have already coming off the depth of lower lows. So things to keep an eye on and keep in mind when we look at these areas. Checking back on Bitcoin here, hourly chart. How are we doing here? We have 5 minutes to go in our hourly chart. We want to see where our support is holding, currently right at the 618. Let me clean this up just a little bit here. Like literally at the 618. Okay, we broke it intra-candle, but there we are. We're right at it, and the market really wants to hold it here. Okay, now we don't know what's going to happen next, but this is an example here about how somebody could trade this. And the way I'm talking about it here is your entries. It's so hard to catch the nut bottom. Okay, it's so hard to sell the nut top. Okay, if you try and do it, you're just gonna drive yourself crazy. So the thing you want to focus on is trying to buy close to the nut bottom and sell close to the nut top. And to do that is scaling in and scaling out is kind of the way you want to think about it. If you have an area here where you're looking to get Bitcoin, but you want to be a little more conservative in your price action, you're like, all right, I'm going to start to scale in as we get closer to the 786. Maybe my long won't fill. Okay, maybe it will. Maybe I'm too early. Maybe I'm too late. But you give yourself a sense where you're going to catch some of the falling knife, okay? Or you're going to sell out of selling into that strength. You want to sell into strength. You want to buy into weakness. Okay, you want to wait for the price action to come to where your specific targets are, okay? And you want to sell it when those targets have been achieved, okay? And take a win. A lot of losing trades happen when traders don't take a win. They're in the green, they're doing quite well. They don't take profits along the way. They get a little too cocky. They extend their bullish predictions, and then they turn a very nice winning trade into a losing trade. Okay, I can't tell you how frustrating that can be, to turn victory into defeat when your original thesis was right and accurate. So we'll keep an eye on this here. A couple minutes to go left in that. Take a look at a couple indicators here. Let's go down below. RSI 42, found the resistance at 46. Interesting to note, 46 once again right here, support, break it through it. Now it's resistance. So another resistance level as we still continue to range below the that range there. So above 50, we can start targeting higher areas. Below 50 and now below 46, showing it as resistance level. I don't like that. I don't like that. And our RSI is about strength. Okay, it's about how much strength you have, how much protein you have in the bull diet there. And when we were able to range higher, we can get those bullish continuation moves. When we're not, we can't. Stochastic here. This is actually one interesting bullish sign here. I like the fact that we were able to do a reset, at least as our leading indicator. Now, our trailer, which is a slower time horizon, did get to our zero line back in November, okay? Didn't get as low this time, only got to 3.8. Okay, I would have liked to have seen a full reset. It would have made me feel like, okay, we're getting a little sense of a cleaner correction and a cleaner way up. Our Stoke on our daily has running room, okay, but I don't want to call it that until we get both of our indicators into our purple. We see how long it took here, okay, to get us out of this area before we had more bullish inclines here. Okay, it took a while of chop and some lower low areas before we broke this. So I like the turnaround here. I like the bull cross, but we're not seeing anything substantially notable yet until we can at least get both of our indicators on our daily chart in our purple zone above 20, which shows that we can basically build this continuation. And that will correspond with a better looking RSI as well. MACD histograms still going bearish, splits still splitting bearish here. No turnaround here yet. The only thing is we're still holding close to our zero line here. Okay, we did it a couple times, resistance, before we actually got that really big slap down. I said this a couple shows ago about how above histogram positive for no more than 30 bars, 30 bars, 30 bars, 26 bars, 33 bars, 32 bars. Okay, so we tend to do a month-long bullish cycle and followed by something of a half a month-long bearish cycle, 17 bars here. Similar ones in other areas there. So this is something that I like to use my histogram on to get a sense of time horizons. And after 32, 33 bars in a bullish sense in our bear market, it'd be hard to feel we could really extend that and keep it going. And really quick here, just look at our chalk and money flow. Still looks relatively crappy here. Very strong rejection on our zero line. OBV, also putting those lower lows there. And the oscillator, okay, cannot get above our zero line once again, something that it will need to do if we're going to break bullish there. But we're still not breaking down crazy, okay? We start seeing something like this and this, then yeah. But right now, these bearish breaks here are still pretty subtle. There's still enough Bitcoin held to keep this range for now until proven otherwise. All right, how do we close up our hourly candle there? Wow. Okay, so we closed our hourly candle. Even though we broke through it, we literally found support right now, right in our golden ratio here. Okay, our golden pocket right below the 618, right above the 65, right there. Okay, we didn't get as low as our 786, but we are holding support here. Now, this hour just started. That was a very big move there. Okay, ETH, Litecoin, a lot of those coins, had a pullback here. We seeing anything of very interesting divergence here? The Nasdaq's having a good day, isn't it? Look at that. Dow's looking pretty good as well. Okay, so for now, we're testing these areas here. Now, let's face it. Let's face it, and this is kind of how I started this show to begin with. The 3480 area, these wicks here, the importance of how strong they were to hold, how meaningful they were to hold. Hey, Christian, thanks, buddy. Thanks, man. All right, pop my cherry on the hour mark. I love it, buddy. Thank you so much. Much appreciated, my friend. How strong, how meaningful this area is to hold. It defined our shoulder back here. Oops. Okay, on these wicks, on these areas here. There we go. Right there. Okay. We can even go a little lower, 34.56. Okay, here's our higher low, 34.93. Okay, it's all about this area here. If this area breaks, it's just this semantics between trying to think that 3350 will hold us above that next higher low area. I just can't see it. I think the closer we get down to 3150, the bigger chance we're gonna basically get to retest it. It showed initial support, obviously. It showed a good bounce, obviously. I don't think we're gonna fall through it like hot knife through butter. There'll be a fight there. There'll be a defending. Bulls will defend this. Exchanges will defend this. Okay, and we probably have a little time before that actually happens. But if this breaks, then clearly other areas, lower areas, and basically historic areas, we have a clean map out of kind of what those areas can be. Basically range anywhere from the 3K break all the way potentially as low as $1,750 to $1,800. If we're finding a ranging area this area here from 5K, down to a little bit above 3K, where we are now. I still have to feel that at some point we're kind of retest this area, just as we are in this area. This area was resistance, turned support, and broke through. This area is currently support, but we keep putting in these lower lows as resistance. And if we do break our 3K area, I feel just as this area here, everything was in play in this zone of price history, so will be this zone of price history if we get through here again. Areas of support are now resistance. 6K was support, now resistance. 5K was a brief support, now resistance. 4K was support a couple times, now it's resistance. Bullish Bitcoin would be great for me. It'd be great for you. It'd be great for a lot of us. But we have to keep the realistic sense still on the table here about we're in this major bear market. We're continuing it. Okay. Now, I'll end on this tweet I put out earlier today about how we're closing in on the exact time that our 2013-2015 bear market, about 400 days from the peak to the trough. Once again, our peak to trough, 20K to kind of where we are now. Obviously, we don't know what the trough is. We didn't know this was the bottom here in January 1st of 2015, right? We didn't know that was the bottom until we broke out convincingly a year later, almost a year later, and then some. Okay, so my point on this is we probably have a long way to go in this bear market. Okay, I really feel we probably have a long way to go in this bear market as we test key areas of support, as this market, as this industry continues to figure itself out, and I think that's something that we really have to keep an eye on as we go forward. I am very optimistic long term for Bitcoin, okay? But Bitcoin bull markets are not built in a day, a week, or a month. They take years. And don't feel like you're going to miss the big one. You're going to miss the bottom, okay? When the bottom is in, we won't know that it's in. And when it is in, there'll be plenty of time, if you think the bottom is in, to buy, load, and hold Bitcoin. Okay, so don't feel like this is going to be a stressful thing where you're going to miss the big day where Bitcoin bottoms. It will take time and will be a lot of time as we range in these key areas here. But there'll be bounces, there'll be dead cat bounces, there'll be moves off the extremes. Remember, oversold moves produce nice bullish spikes. Overbought moves can produce bullish spikes. So there's money to be made both ways in this market. Just stay safe, just stay smart, don't over leverage. And if you want to be in this game for the long run, you have to keep that kind of a perspective. You don't have to make it all in one big trade. Slow and steady can definitely win the race, especially in this market here. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Closing out with 170 of my closest friends. You guys rock. Please give me some thumbs up. Always love some thumbs up. We got 170 people. Let's see 170 thumbs up if you enjoyed my content. Thank you, Christian Martinez, for the tip today. Much appreciated, my brother. And you guys can follow me on Twitter as well. Please reach out to me if you have any interest in my mentoring. You don't have to do, I have students that just do one, and I have students that like to do multiple packages. So I definitely recommend this and would just love to talk to you. So please feel free to reach out to me on that. Until next time, this is Big Chonis. Thank you for joining me. Stay safe out there. Talk to you soon.